government taking a decision to ban one of the most popular gaming apps in the world, PUBG, along with 118 other apps of Chinese origin. This after TikTok and several other apps were banned earlier on. This is a war on Chinese apps. It comes at a time in which India faces this tension in Ladakh, and this is a certain course of action the government believes is the right one.
PUBG, a shooting game and one of the most popular online games in India, has been banned. It's owned by Tencent, the $69 billion Chinese gaming giant, said to be Asia's most valuable company. In all, 118 apps have been banned, all Chinese. The government order doesn't mention that, but says these apps are prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of state, and public order. And this is being done for stealing and surreptitiously transmitting users' data based on bipartisan concerns. The government says that this will safeguard millions of Indians' interests and internet users because this game is so addictive, and of course there is big money involved. Last year, the PM acknowledged PUBG's huge popularity in a youth outreach ahead of the elections.
ये PUBG वाला है क्या?
PUBG alone has 600 million downloads with 50 million active users. The PUBG Mobile India series for 2020 had a total prize pool of about 55 lakhs, and with the player base and international investment projected to grow. One of the biggest esport companies, Fnatic, has invested heavily in player contracts and the setting up of training facilities within India and houses a team in Mumbai. They have also taken part in international events which will now be in question since the app won't be available in India.
हर चीज़ का सोल्यूशन बैन ही करना नहीं होता है, उस प्रॉब्लम को लेके उस प्रॉब्लम को एनालाइज करके उसका सोल्यूशन निकालना होता है, ये नहीं कि उसको रोक देना होता है। इसके थ्रू स्पॉन्सरशिप भी मिलती थी सबको, जिनसे वो अर्न करते थे अपना, तो वो एक नेगेटिव पॉइंट रह जाएगा।
इतने सारे स्ट्रीमर हैं जो पबजी के वजह से इतना फेमस हुए हैं, बहुत सारे लोग पैसा कमा रहे हैं, बहुत सारे लोग करियर बना रहे हैं पबजी में, तो PUBG बैन होने से दुख तो हो रहा है।
Among the other apps too, there are some very popular ones. Knives Out, No Rules, Just Fight has over 5 million downloads and has earned close to $465 million worldwide in 2018. Mobile Legends Bang Bang has 75 million active users with 100 million downloads, majority of which were contributed by India.
All right, well, is banning an app the right way of actually taking action against the Chinese at a time when all of these problems are taking place in Ladakh? Joining us now, Jitin Jain, cybersecurity expert, Nikhil Pawar still with us, Neha Bagga of the BJP, Kamaljeet Singh Bedi, he is the Chief Technology Officer of the NDTV Group, and Mishi Chaudhary, the technology lawyer, joins us as well. Jitin Jain, let me come to you first. What exactly was the worry over here? What data is it that the Chinese could actually have accessed of PUBG users?
Look, Vishnu, if we were to talk about mobile applications in particular, the kind of permissions these applications take both on iPhone platforms or Android platforms are of full spectrum. I mean, there is nothing which they leave. So even if it is a Torch application, they would take all Pandora permissions which are not even required. So that enables access of data using those permissions anytime, whenever they want. Number two, the kind of data they collect for valid and both invalid reasons by writing in their privacy policy or both in an undisclosed manner is basically they are picking right from your images, photos, SMSs, location, everything what you can imagine. Now, this data could be weaponized. Now, one could say that, even other applications like Facebook, Twitter, they all do it. What is so different over here? But you have to understand that this ban has a context of growing problem at the borders, the dispute we are facing with China, which is a threat to our sovereignty and territorial integrity. So I think the 59 app ban was a decisive move. Okay. And it now reflects the decisive government where they are determined to follow through. They had banned 47 additional apps in the past, and then furthermore, I think 119 today. So I think this is a preemptive move to ensure that China is not able to use their technical surveillance empire which is operating in a very grey, shady area of these companies, which are some of them which have got linked to PLA and CCP.
Sure.
That's
I want to
number
just
one.
go across
So
to
it's a
Kamaljeet
preemptive
for a
move.
moment. Just one sec. I want to go across to Kamaljeet. How big is PUBG in India? Could you give us an idea of just how big it is? It's something that, I mean, switching it off means lakhs of people would be affected instantly.
Yeah, actually, hi Vishnu. So, starting from the numbers, 5 crore people play this game monthly, right? It has been the number one iOS and Android game for months, if not years now. But I think the real order of magnitude comes from the time spent by these gamers who play this game. So imagine on an average, it's in hours a day people play this game. To the point that a couple of years back, PUBG actually included a check in the game which blocks you from playing it for more than 6 hours. So you can imagine how much people were playing this game that they had to put a check of 6 hours. That's the max you want to play in a day. This leads to serious consequences, like kids who have committed suicide because they were not allowed to play, or gamers who have spent thousands and lakhs of rupees of their own money or their parents' money because they wanted to buy purchases, in-app purchases in the game. So it's a really huge game in India, and globally, I think it's the number one highest earner game in the world. So you can imagine how big it is globally, and of course, the 5 crore numbers say something about the size of this game in India as well.
Mishi, what is the evidence that all this data that has been collected is serving some sort of nefarious goal in China?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead. Mishi, can you hear me?
I can't hear what you said.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Mishi, what is the evidence that we have that all of this data apparently being collected by PUBG is serving some nefarious plan of China's? What's the evidence?
So the order has come under Section 69A of Information Technology Act. Those rules which actually talk about blocking of information also require confidentiality. So these orders are kept confidential, and we have not seen any evidence. Unlike
is that problematic? Is that problematic for you?
So that is why 69A had been once challenged in the Supreme Court to say that if the government ever wants to block any kind of information, and this is not just some specific content, but it's a list of apps, then at least it should be made available to the public. But at least the court at that time had said, well, there is remedy available for the people whose apps or information has been blocked, and they can go to the court and get the remedy. We do not see that there is any merit right now in transparency about it. But I do think that any kind of blocking will raise all the issues like this and speculations about what exactly is happening, what should happen or not.
Okay.
And if we have more transparency, then at least these questions won't be raised, and there would be clarity for everybody. Because in the absence of a data protection bill, everyone is left to fetch for themselves, whether it's an Indian app or American app or a Chinese app.
Neha, are we, I mean, on the one hand, we have problems with China. It's a very different sort of situation. But why do you believe that switching off Chinese apps, it's not just PUBG, it's hundreds of others, is the solution? Because there are thousands of Indian jobs as well on the line, Indians who work in TikTok, not perhaps even PUBG, and several other companies. There are thousands of Indian jobs on the line.
See, when it comes to integrity and sovereignty of India, first and foremost comes national security. And for that reason, when the reports were coming, that these apps are using additional informations, as Jitendraji has nicely explained, that they were taking additional information, what all things they needed, they have taken, and they were sharing this. And this is a threat to national security. And also Ministry of Electronic and IT has discussed about it, how it has become threat and why this decision is taken. So such kind of harsh and difficult decisions are taken at times. But also I'm happy to share that today there was a report that top 10 Play Store list, there are Swadeshi apps as well. So when we talk about various Chinese apps, from which people have lost their jobs, or they were earning a larger amount from those applications. Now youth from India itself are coming with these innovation applications, and we are coming forward. So I think that on one hand, if we are, sacrificing jobs because of the national security, on the other hand, innovative youth, minded youth are coming with their innovations with Swadeshi applications in different sectors, social sector, health sector, entertainment sectors, and various applications are there now which are leading on the top 10 list of Play Store.
So Atmanirbhar Bharat and new Indian apps coming out, I take that, but I just want to go back to Nikhil for one final word on this. Nikhil, I'm no closer to understanding what sort of threat this was. I understand we face an almost war-like situation in Ladakh. You're fighting one kind of battle over there, or potentially, but they just shut down these apps. What are you really achieving? Is it just to send the Chinese a message? Nothing more than that.
I do think so, Vishnu. That's one of the reasons, in the sense that I haven't seen the government issue a press release for a Section 69 takedown blocking order like we've seen both in this case and the previous case of Chinese apps. So they want to send a message. It's very clear that this is a political activity, but that is not to say that risks don't exist, because the Chinese government actually, under its own national intelligence law, can exercise control over the businesses that are Chinese. So, for example, if there are 33 million odd PUBG users in India, those devices could potentially be used to mount for example, a distributed denial of service attack, or data of some users could be taken out of India. So those risks in these circumstances are very real. China needs to understand that it can't operate in a dual situation where it closes out its market, tries to protect its own users, but its apps can basically become a part of the democratic open world, and where there might be risks. So unless there's accountability of the Chinese government, I'm afraid their shadow is always going to be on Chinese apps and Chinese tech, as we're seeing across the world right now. I don't think this needs to be looked at from a geopolitical standpoint.
Sure. All right. We need to leave it over there. I'm completely out of time. But this is something that's going to affect lakhs of people out there. Out of time on this program. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Time for this short break.